an animal. Maybe he's the man.
Now, don't start any gossip with that, Kringle. Heaven only knows where it might end.
He's bled a lot. Hey everyone, thanks so much for being here for episode 2 of Crumbling Foundation, an SCP themed actual. We're really excited to get to it tonight, but first, as always, a couple of announcements. And then I'm going to have everyone here remind you who they are and why they're amazing. Um, as much as they can in the short synopsis, because there are a lot of reasons why all these people are amazing. But first, if you enjoy what you see here, we have a Discord. Come hang out. You can meet all of these amazing people. Every single one of them is over on that Discord. Feel free to interact, say hi, ask questions about why the characters are the way they are, what they didn't, or why they didn't do something, or about other games, world creation, character creation, just to hang out. Any of these are good reasons, and we're always around. It's a great little community that's growing every day. Be a part of it. And with the Twitter bird seemingly very rapidly plummeting into a free fall into a burning abyss, it's a great way to keep in touch with some people who you enjoy in the community, and so check that out. Second, we have a Ko-Fi. If you would like to support us in any way, that's the best way to do it. Go over to our Ko-Fi. The link should be below in the About section. You can either sign up for memberships, which will give you cool stuff that I'll talk about in a minute, or you can do single-time donations. If you don't want to do either, that's okay, because there's still cool stuff on the Ko-Fi. You'll be able to find free maps. In the very near future, we'll also be having some homebrew content for things like D&D and other games as well. That's where I'll be posting One Night at Ollie's, which is a Five Nights at Freddy themed Kids on Bikes game that I should have out in like 2 or 3 weeks. You should also be able to find other cool stuff there, including Tales Tuesday, which has been moved from Twitter there and will be starting up again this week, where I write up a story and then leave it up to y'all to vote on where you would like it to go next, and then it continues on and on and on. All of that is free, but on our Ko-Fi. If you do want a membership and want to support us month by month, you can do that too. We're always very happy to have that, of course, because it helps us continue doing what we're doing and expand, so we can offer a platform to more amazing people, because there are so many great voices in the community, and we want to make sure that they have somewhere to be able to express their characters, their plots, their stories, their ideas, or just themselves, because that's what we're all here for. Telling a great story and giving people the chance to explore and invest and express. But that includes things like naming rights for NPCs, locations. Once a month, we do a raffle for our highest tier membership, where someone who is in that membership group, because I can't help but keep repeating myself, someone in that membership group will get a custom built character in any system that you would like. If we don't know it, we will find someone who does, or we will learn it for you. And it will include art, which is really, really cool. Courtesy of our favorite in-house artist, Miss Moon, who you may have seen on a couple of our other shows before now. We also will have situations where you'll be able to come up with custom themes for classes, subclasses, primarily for D&D, but we're going to be branching out into other games as well, and designing more content that we can provide to you as thanks for your support. You can also always hit the subscribe button here. It's another cool way to follow us. Any of these are fine. If you can't do any of that, that's okay. Being here, hanging out in chat, talking to us, telling us what you like, telling us what you don't like, those are all really important too, and we really appreciate you being here and sharing this experience with us. We're starting off with a hydrate check. Getting to it quick. Thanks, Ty. All right. So I think I've gone over everything I need to go over for now. We'll save any of the coming next week, later in the week stuff for then. So I'm gonna pass things off, go around, have everyone introduce themselves, who they are, where they can be found, who they're playing tonight, and then we will get to this episode of the Crumbling Foundation. This week we're gonna go in the reverse order we started with last time. So I'm gonna start with Zoe. Why don't you start us off?
Hello, everyone. I am Zoe Trooper. I am playing Zura Von Brandt tonight, who is a mathematician, works in specializing with pattern recognition, which, the Foundation found useful. So that's why I'm here. You can also find me on Hollowed Haven Studios, and in the near future, I will be in a Cyberpunk Red game with Component Cast. So those are places to look for me. Feel free to join great communities there too. And that's really it from me.
Awesome. Before we move on to our next one, just a quick shout out. Ty over in the chat has granted Jackson exertion. So you can go ahead and add that to your sheet.
Amazing.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. I'm sure that will come in handy. All right. Next up, we're going to go to the Eye, playing Liam MacCern.
Hello, I am the I play Liam MacCern, as said by Drake, and that's all you'll ever find me here. You just find me here. This is the only place you find me. That's it. I'm done.
Perfect. Great. Okay, next up, Tal.
That's me. Hello. So I'm Tal Woodblaze, and tonight I will be playing Jackson Kennedy, who is the medic of this fine band of investigators. My job is to basically keep everybody alive. So we'll see how that goes. You can find me mostly over on Twitter, the Gamers Rest, and I basically write and design TTRPGs.
Awesome. Definitely cool stuff. Definitely check it out. It is so good. Next, over to Jack.
Yes, hello. I am Jack. You may know me from my own channel, twitch.tv/The People's Ascension. It's associated YouTube and Twitter. I actually have some really cool things coming up, of course, including this now, which I am super excited about. Really looking forward to this every week. You can also find me every Tuesday over on twitch.tv/Studio Tembo with my good friend Jeff Harvey playing some Star Trek Adventures. I play Captain Ambrose, Transporter Tech Tong, whole bunch of other characters. It's a great story, and we're coming up on some really climactic stuff. So if you like some good TNG era Star Trek, come hang out. It's a great time. And of course, specifically for my own channel, I am kicking off Season 4 of RPGs Uncovered. It's a series dedicated to showing just how quick and easy it can be to learn a new TTRPG. We will be looking at a game called Cyber Rats this upcoming season. It looks like an amazing game, a cross between XCOM and Shadowrun without all the nasty crunch that weighs things down. It's a Lumen-based game, so it's going to be bright, it's going to be fun, it's going to be fast-paced, it's going to be a lot of great stuff. And I am currently looking for cast. So if you're interested in joining, come look at Twitter. That's where I'm posting most of this now, and I will stop being an old man about social media eventually and find some other way to post all of this stuff if Twitter goes up in fire. But I also have a Discord and all of that. My links are down below. Come check me out. As for now, I'm super excited to play Hevard Hart in more SCP. And with all of those words done spilling from my mouth, I will pass it up to JD.
All right, this time I actually had time to think about my words. So yes, I am JD. I am playing Dr. Zachary Ryan, who is more of our social science based nerd. He is a triple doctorate holding super nerd, basically, and we love him. For me, I can be found on Twitter at JD, not Jason Dean, for as long as Twitter lives. I can also be found on Instagram and now Hive under the same, and Tumblr. So you can always stalk me there. I'm fine with it. I normally live over at Live from the Apocalypse, so I am in way too many of their shows. You can find me there tomorrow night, where we are doing Class Reunion, Winter Break, our urban fantasy D&D homebrew that we're doing. I'll be back on there on Wednesday for our Dungeons and Doggos Fetch Quest game. And I will be back there on Sunday for Academy H, which is our Masks Actual Play podcast that we live record. You can also find me this week at the Lost Caravan for a 2-shot Witch Fated Souls. So definitely check that out as well. So yes, I have a chaotic week ahead of me, and I can't wait to continue some horror investigating tonight.
Feel that. Real quick, 2 things before we get to it. First, Zoe Miss Moon has granted you exertion as well, with love. JD Joe has granted you exertion, #Go Gulls. So that works out. Second, sorry. Second, just a real quick heads up. This is a horror game. There will be times where it gets a little intense. So This will include things like atmospheric horror, religious iconography, potential death, sometimes mutilation. This and anything else that we feel is going to be prudent or will come up at any point is something I will mention. If at any point you're uncomfortable, if at any point you don't feel like this is something you want to be a part of, please don't hesitate. Step away. You can always come back later. You can always come back next week. If the show's not for you, it's not, and that's okay. We love you all. Stay safe, stay happy, and enjoy. Now, last we left off, our squad had been pulled together, despite some concerns from a handful of you, and sent out on a missing persons case, which at first didn't seem to have much noteworthy about it, but quickly as the group of you got to the I always get the name wrong because I always go to say verando, but it is the verando. I got it right this time. Nice. As you got to the verando, the squad began to realize more and more that there were quite a number of things that were not sitting right, didn't really fit with what you would expect from a normal thing. Strange occurrences and bits of information that I know some of you have talked about wanting to look into. But for now, the group of you found yourselves looking both through Charlotte Williams, the disappeared person's mail, and through her apartment, which itself was quite a strange experience. I believe is where we find the group of you now. So what would the group of you like to do?
Well, I believe we immediately left off with looking at a whole bunch of runes or something written on the floor.
Yes.
Were they chalk? Were they carved?
Correct. There was like chalk markings of runes on the floor, which, if I remember correctly, Agent Hart was able to identify as being associated with something that recently came into the knowledge of the Foundation. Correct?
That was actually Liam.
That was actually.
Oh, that was Liam. I'm so sorry, Liam. That's on me.
There's also a cracked cell phone, I think, in the middle of the floor.
Yes,
which none of us have touched yet.
Correct. There's a cracked cell phone. There's a lot of different pieces of paper of different makes scattered across the walls, as well as a completely disassembled computer speaker and a number of other things sort of just scattered, but all adhered in some way, fixed to the walls of the place. That is also, as I will mention, devoid of any furniture.
Okay.
I would like to continue my investigation of who Charlotte was. So I want to go to normal domestic spaces. I want to head to the kitchen and see what's in the fridge. I want to head to her closet and see what she wears, what might be stashed up on the shelf or hidden down behind things.
Absolutely.
I was going to say I'll happily take the fridge and the bin, because I'm interested in, how much she's been eating, whether or not she's eaten enough, as it were, for somebody living on their own, and see if we can get a perspective on that.
And see if we can match the timelines up with what we've seen with her not picking up her mail for 6 months. Have she been here in that time? What was she doing?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, so Jackson, I know you're heading over to the fridge. Agent Hart, where are you going to be going?
I'm gonna go to the bedroom.
Wonderful. So, Jackson, as you make your way over to the refrigerator, you see it's a pretty standard, very classic 2-door open fridge. Beside it is built into sort of the little kitchenette, cut out a little like a drawer that is where the trash is kept. It's all about sort of consolidation of space in places like this.
Mm-hmm.
So you, I assume, would like pull out the drawer, checking it's about half full, but there is that sort of noticeable stench of like left garbage that's just been sitting out too long. It hasn't collected any like flies or bugs or anything else, but you are immediately sort of accosted with that smell of like almost sweet rot.
Yeah. Okay, I'll kind of just I've got some gloves which I will put on, and then just have a quick dig through the trash just to see if there's anything kind of buried at the bottom of it. Something she might have thrown away that might give us a clue as to what was going on.
Sure, absolutely. So you reach into the trash and begin sort of rummaging through. There's like empty takeout containers and like a half-eaten thing of lo mein and some like banana peels. There's a at this point very browned, almost blackened like apple core. Nothing, some tissues, but nothing that stands out as being particularly interesting or curious here. It seems like very standard food items and things you would find in an average kitchen's garbage.
Okay, I'll pop it back and then I'll check the refrigerator. Is there any strong smells coming from the refrigerator before I open it?
No, doesn't seem to be any strange smells coming out.
Okay, I'll kind of take a deep breath and I'll open the refrigerator, but I might just kind of I won't open it and it's straight in front of me. I'll stand to one side and open it just because you don't know what's going to be in there.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah,
Opening
Paranoid
it
already.
you got to start at some point, right?
Yeah.
You begin to like pull open the fridge, and the first thing you notice is the light turns on inside the fridge, which is not particularly surprising because you already know that the electricity still runs in this place despite it having been turned off. But nothing seems to. There's no noises or anything else that would suggest to you that there's any danger. I slowly kind of opening it, right? You'll see it's not it's as stocked as you would expect from a struggling artist in New York City. There are things in there. There's like a tub of butter. There's a loaf of bread that's been like half eaten. There's like a bag with a couple of oranges in it. Just some various food items that sort of fill the fridge. Not enough to survive for like a month, but definitely a week or two.
Okay.
There's like a package of chicken like breast that's been. It looks like it's been like opened and half of it is covered in tin foil.
Is there a date on the chicken breast?
Yes, absolutely there is. So looking at the chicken breast, you see that the chicken breast specifically expired about 3 months ago. But looking at the meat itself, it seems perfectly fine.
Okay. I will I'll call out to Zura then. Hey Zura, do you want to come and to have a look at this?
Sure, of course. I'll be right there. And I was busy looking at the grander picture of this apartment and all of that mess and whatever she's trying to say to us, but I'll come over there and I'll check out whatever's in the fridge.
And I think that is where we're going to put a hold on that and shift over to Agent Hart. You wanted to go check out the wardrobe. Yes?
Yeah, whole bedroom. Really, what type of person was she? Does she have clothes all over the floor? Is everything nice and neatly put away? Are there candles? Is there a book by the bedside? Is there a big TV? Whatever I can get to learn about who this person is, and then I will start rummaging through, like, as you said, the wardrobe, closet, drawers, boxes, check under the bed.
Sure. So being a studio apartment, there isn't really a bedroom specifically.
Gotcha.
But moving deeper in, you do begin to sort of look around to try and locate where that like sleeping area would be or the like living space. Problem is, there's no furniture of any kind here. There are no tables, there is no bed, there is no wardrobe, there are no dressers, there are no drawers. It is just empty. It's as if she just packed all her things up and moved out. There's no clothes strewn across the floor. Nothing is there, which is incredibly strange, obviously, but nothing. There's not even like holes in whatever small parts of the wall are visible where something could have been like hung up to hang like clothes on. It's just barren.
Okay. So there's not even evidence that there was at any point any furniture.
No, there are no markings on the ground. There is no like scratch marks you would expect to see from the inevitable shifting of things. There's
Mhm.
nothing.
Okay. Interesting. So it doesn't look like there's anything in this apartment that would facilitate comfortable domestic living.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this very much seems more like maybe something someone would use as like an office or something than something where someone would live, unless they're sleeping on the floor and not really existing in it.
Hmm. Well, with all of those ideas scratched, I guess I will just go around and look at all these things that are glued to the walls and pushed up against places and see if I can use that to get any idea of what her headspace might have been in.
Sure.
If I can put
well-
anything together, see if there's any consistencies in the madness.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to take a while because there's just so much, and you're going to have to like sort of take the time to go
Mhm.
through that. So, we're going to have, as Agent Hart is taking his sort of walk around the apartment, the studio, I'm going to look over to Dr. Ryan, Mr. MacCern. What would the two of you?
I think Dr. Ryan is kind of thinking in a slightly similar vein to Hev, because last time around, Zach realized that there was a method to the madness that he was looking at, that this was basically Charlotte creating a thought board. And I think his next thought is, what was she trying to solve? What was she trying to figure out? So I think that's where he is at this point, is really trying to get a sense for if this was her trying to answer a question and organize her thoughts, what was the question she was trying to ask and get an answer to?
Oh, I like that. Okay. So I think that is also probably going to take some time because you have to sort of take in a lot of what's around you. Realistically, both you and Agent Hart know just from looking over the sheer amount of things that are here, it will probably take you at the very least the better part of a day going through these things to sort of be able to garner any true insight from them. Realistically, you have the time, as Hev pointed out. I believe it was Hev who pointed out last session. We're already well past the point where expedience is key,
Mhm.
mostly,
It's
unfortunately.
been a week since she was reported missing.
A little over a week, I believe.
Gotcha.
We're coming up on a week and a half.
Yeah.
So that is certainly something that the two of you could do if you'd like. You do have the FBI box that was left in the room that you can sort of catalog things in if that's what you'd like to do. And that I assume would probably give you a little bit more of a way to sort of break it down without having to just be walking through all of these things, having to try and find connectors just.
And I will say, I think if Zach notices that Hev is doing something similar, I think it would also be really natural for him just to kind of start talking to Hev about what he's seeing and sort of being like, can we tag team this?
Mhm.
He wouldn't say, can we tag team this? But he would definitely be talking at you as though he expected you to tag team this.
Yeah, and Hev would bounce right into that. He was mostly thinking the same thing. So he's happy to facilitate. And actually, Mr. Ryan, I do believe, if I remember what reports I got on the team, you have experience in archaeology, sociology, history.
Archaeology, psychology, ancient languages.
I'm more of a modern day people person. Perhaps we can look at this two different ways. Maybe you break it down into something more scientifically stratified, and I'll try to get the feel of it all.
And we should also bring in Zura. She's very good at pattern recognition and picking out those types of pieces. I think if the three of us went after this, we could definitely start getting the answers and pulling them together. And so I think Zach's going to then call out, like, Zura, when you have a minute, come back in here. We need someone who can notice the patterns and what we're seeing.
Yeah, just a minute.
This is a like small studio apartment, right? Everyone's inside. We're like at most 15 feet apart. We can all talk to each other.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's very easy to hear each other. Zura and Jackson are probably the two people you wouldn't see immediately because the kitchenette is a little bit of a carve out. So there is an almost like half dividing wall, but it's really more of like a nook behind it. So you could maybe make out like one of Jackson's shoulders, like right past it or something like that as they're like looking in.
All right. So the way I'm looking at this here, we're well past the 48-hour mark. If this was a normal missing persons case, I'd write her off for dead, but there's plenty of weirdness going on. We might have like I said, it's been past that cutoff point. What could a couple days matter? We could take the time and look through all of this. I have a long list of people I would like to talk to in a variety of different ways about a lot of different things. This is normally something, the police force or the FBI would have an entire team of investigators for. And we don't necessarily have that liberty. Is there any way we want to... Does anyone have any concerns about sitting here for the next 2 or 3 days, just going over things? And how would you, each of you, prioritize that given your specializations?
I think I'm gonna hold us there for one moment as we flash back over to first as we flash over to First Lieutenant MacCern. What are you busy doing while the rest of them are looking?
After sending out the cell phone Dropbox, as it were, to everyone about the possible cult, Liam is mostly just standing at the door, hand on his sidearm, just peering back and forth down the hallways, making sure no one's coming up to the doors. Once in a while, Liam will look back at everyone else, but for the most part is trusting the captain to keep everyone safe if something is to go wrong inside. But yes, Liam right now, with his mask down, is very much being the standing golem in the doorway, just trying to make sure any prying eyes doesn't get involved.
Wonderful. And
Actually, that's a really good point. Jackson would have clocked in terms of other exits from the flat. Is there a window, and if so, does it have a like a fire exit on the outside or anything on those lines?
so there is one fairly large window, but it is completely covered by pieces, scraps of paper and plastic broken pieces of whatever it may be and other things. It definitely would not be easily accessible to get out from, and you can tell almost immediately that had it been opened, it's one of those like upsliding windows. Had it been opened, a lot of the things on it would have been ripped, broken, or forced off in order to do so. From since y'all were just outside not too long ago, I will tell you that there is no fire escape exit outside of this window, but it is on the first floor.
Okay. I'm sure Liam's already clocked that there is no exits from this apartment, but I'll just nod in his direction just so we've got an understanding.
Liam will nod back. And that's not the reason why Liam's keeping himself to the hallway. There's only, well, I mean, a window is an escape path, to be fair. But I don't know how well these nerds will go through broken glass, so I'm not gonna trust that one.
Speaking of our beloved nerds, Zura, you were heading over to assist Jackson with the fridge.
Yeah, I imagine kind of like being very careful to not step on anything, which is why it's taken me so long. It's like, yes, what exactly do you need assistance with?
And I'll pull out the chicken and kind of shove it directly under your nose.
Oh God, what? Does it not smell?
It
This
doesn't. It
isn't-
smells perfectly fine.
Check the date.
I will check the date.
And as previously mentioned, it is back the number of months past expiration. But the chicken looks perfectly fine. There's no smell. There is no like the sort of rotting chicken juice that comes off of it or anything like that.
How extremely bizarre. I was willing to consider that this is just a mental break of some sort, but this feels a little more like time capsule. Or just a really good fridge, but I doubt that. I'm gonna look over the fridge really quickly.
Sure.
It's like
It's the best fridge ever.
I imagine it's just the worst fridge. It's like one of those ones where it's like you put it in for a day and it's already bad.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you notice just like looking it over, the temperature dial is turned all the way up, but it's like barely cold inside. The trays are kind of like cracked and clearly were made of like bad plastic to begin with. The doors are sort of they look like that like classic like metal, like silverish metal that you would see on any like double doored fridge, except that they're very like muted and clearly are just made of whatever like slam shod metal material the company was able to get. And the name at the bottom of it, where usually you would see the name of a notable brand, is instead of like Coles, it's like Foles, F-H-O-L-E-S.
Okay. No, that's not possible. Good catch on that one.
So definitely not just psychological, definitely not just someone who's got some trouble. We're talking strange here, aren't we?
I think so. Like it's still too early to tell, but that is unless the good detective is pulling some sort of prank on us by putting chicken that is improperly labeled in the fridge to throw us off, which is a conspiracy theory unto itself that I will no longer entertain. I don't think that's what's happening.
Gee, I really hope we just get one simple missing person. Just once, just we come in, we find a missing person, we reunite them.
Well, they kind of send us to these things for a reason.
But just once. I mean,
There's more boring people to handle those boring jobs. It's more fun, isn't it?
boring's fun sometimes as well.
I'm gonna look up Foles electrical appliances.
Sure. Yeah. So a quick, I'm not even gonna make you roll for it. Like a quick Google search will bring up that it's one of the many like off-brand trying to pass itself off as a major company that you can get incredibly cheap. You do find a couple of articles about buildings and like restaurant establishments that have had lawsuits over it because they do sometimes end up slipping through and being purchased by like wholesale like resellers and sold as though they are the actual products. But there's nothing beyond the very basic knockoff brand information. Fine.
What about reviews? Like filter down to the like half-star reviews and see if there's any like complete nonsense about some weird thing some of these things may have done.
Sure, absolutely. So scrolling through, obviously you go through a bunch of the very, very clearly fake, this was amazing, best purchase I've ever made nonsense. And as you get through, like, you get to the 4-star reviews, and there are people who are like, this is not the best fridge in the world, but it's pretty good for the price. I only paid, and then it's like a drastically over some. But you get down to those like mid-tier reviews, and a lot of them are kind of riffs on, it's a fridge. It's not a fridge you want to get for long term. It breaks after a while. There's one that's like, the water dispenser started dispensing sludge, but there's no water dispenser on this model, even though the reviews you're on are specifically for this model. There's a couple of reports of like, the food goes bad before the expiration date, or I had like a pie that I had left in there and it just turned sour overnight. There's a lot of reviews like that, but nothing that seems to go the other direction. Nothing where it's like, I was able to keep a meal, like fully cooked meal for 2 months, or raw meat sat in the fridge for a year because I forgot about it, or anything like that. None of that is.
Okay.
Liam is going to pull out his phone and start glancing now, but literally keeping the phone high enough so even as he's scanning the phone, if there's any movement back and forth across the hallways, he'd be able to notice it. What activities does that cult that he's heard of get up to?
That's the voice of Is, correct?
Yeah.
So they're pretty harmless for the most part. There's a lot of the sort of generalized trying to bring more people into the fold. They have this, one of the things you would found when you come across the file is this very specific like green pamphlet, which talks about the voice and how the voice allows you to sort of hear reality. And that's a big thing that they sort of push as part of their message, but it's very difficult to discern what that means, because they say that that's for upper tier members and you have to do a number of things to get to that. The foundation has not infiltrated far enough, or really felt motivated to, because not much going on there. The only reason, from what you look up, that seems like is why they are on Foundation radar is because there have been a number of different instances throughout the last couple of months where either pamphlets or members of the cult seem to be tangentially connected to like strange anomalous occurrences, or people who were in the possession of like objects that were SCPs or things like that. But there's been no evidence of any direct affiliation with anything, at least yet.
So do we know any of their practices and what the effects of these practices are? For example, has this particular arrangement of runes, you said sparks the lieutenant's memory. Do we know what this is supposed to do, or has there been any sighting of what it does?
No, that's something that's currently being researched. There were nothing in the like immediate documents that anyone has been able to sort of pull together into a meaningful way or connect it to any ancient language. However, as you sort of are scrolling through all of this, you will find a fairly recently updated note that suggests that they may be some kind of offshoot of ancient Aramaic.
I copy paste that specific line to Dr. Ryan and then put the phone back in my pocket.
Sure. Which I think is just about when Hev had put out the idea of everyone sort of figuring out what it is that they would be able to do in tiling.
And I think for Zach's part, he like immediately tunes out of that conversation because he sees the message that Liam has sent to him and like is immediately zeroing in on the runes to try and figure out what this means.
Okay. Is Aramaic one of the languages that
It is. Yep.
So I'm going to have you roll for me I know there's a skill for this. Is it just ancient languages? Is that? Yes. Ancient languages intelligence. That's what I'm going to have you roll for me.
Okay. That is going to be, I have to do math, 18.8.
Ooh, that's real. Okay. So there are a couple of things that you are able to take. Now, looking at it as the conversation that I assume is going on with everyone, you are able to discern that while these are not the Aramaic symbols you are familiar with, they bear striking resemblance, at least in a number of some of there's very little that you are able to sort of pull from it immediately, but the pieces that you are able to assemble are the term Yalda Bahot, and the term Lav. So Yalda Bahot is something that roughly would translate in ancient Aramaic to daughter of darkness or daughter of the void. And Lav essentially is an ancient Aramaic form of a word that would mean the lion.
Which I think is great because that means in the midst of your conversation, like Zach definitely just jumps in, like he's been muttering those words to himself, and then he just kind of like throws them into the midst of the conversation and starts to give you what they mean. And the fact that he's seeing that this is not identical to the Aramaic he's used to, but there are those similarities. And so, yeah, he's just like translating and probably like cutting in and out between all of you with this information. Because he is not listening to a word that you are saying.
Ev's just going to shoot Kennedy a glance. The lion. Remember I said I saw...
That's no coincidence. I'll just kind of nod my head, just like, okay. I'm going to put more credence towards what you think you saw downstairs, and I'll just take a wander over to Liam, and I will give him a full debrief of that in the light of new information.
So our friend Hart saw some crazy loon with a lion mask in the park.
Doing weird things with his hand and making things kind of appear as if by magic. But this latest link,
You
not
saw
so sure.
You saw a visual anomaly and failed to report it.
Oh, I mentioned it to Kennedy.
Okay.
And I wrote it down.
Where in Manhattan it could have been some tweaker with a Halloween mask. But I mentioned it, and then things progressed. I've had my mind on it. These aren't the same symbols.
Proper protocol.
It's fine. All right, well, I think eventually Hart should probably start walking around, investigating the other denizens of this place. If the cult is here, my assumption is that they, or at least one other person here, is involved one way or the other. If there is an entity with a face mask of that of a lion, then that might also be taking residence in this place if it was somehow summoned here.
There are a number of people I would like to have a conversation with. We can, of course, start with the other tenants.
You two,
Zach,
are you done here, or you need to keep working on something?
I think we could all stay here for the better part of the day and still have plenty to go through. It's whether we feel there are better ways to prioritize our time.
If Agent Hart is going to start talking to the other tenants, I'd like to go with him. I mean, if, like he was saying, if there is cult behavior happening in the building, I think that's the best way to get more information. And I would love to hear feedback from each of them on what they've observed with Charlotte, assuming that they even knew her. And if they didn't even know her, that tells us something too. But I don't know if we can get a full psychological profile on her without getting more feedback from other people who would have encountered her.
Roughly whereabouts was this anomaly with the lion mask?
Hart is going to take out his phone, take a picture of the window, then rip all the crap off of it and point out the window.
Okay, so clearly whatever this is has a zone of influence larger than I would personally feel comfortable with.
Across the street, walking in the park, we were about a block away at that point.
Right.
It's obviously, whatever it is, not directly tied to this building, but this is a strange part of the city.
Zura, are you wanting to join them, or are you sticking here?
Actually, one moment before we continue.
Oh.
Yeah. I would like you, if you have handy, to roll me a percentile roll, like a D10 and then another D10.
Sure.
D100.
What if he just has a D100?
Yeah, D100 works perfectly.
No, sadly, I do not have a golf ball. That's a 95.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. You can proceed.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
As for what I would like to do, I'm definitely at the point where I would like to interview individuals and check out the utilities themselves. Alternatively, I can try to find a pattern in this mess and look at any kind of equations, but I'm not sure at this point what that will lead to.
I'm assuming that the utilities would. We need to look at the fuse box, perhaps. Well, I'm not one, as a slight veteran of this group, to go down into a basement, just the two of us. So my suggestion is this. We will interview a few, and then we will go down to the basement to check out any likely issues with the utilities.
That sounds
Well,
acceptable.
We're also looking at more than just power, right? I'll walk over to the sink and flip the faucet on.
Yeah, absolutely. And the
We're
one
not going to find this down in the fuse box.
But you'd find the boiler, the pipes that run up this way. That would probably all be in the basement.
For clarity, Lion, is this utility anomaly, does everybody in the building have free utilities, or is it just Charlotte's apartment?
As from what you've discerned from the information granted by the police, everyone still has.
So nobody's been paying utilities, yet everybody still has.
Correct.
Okay. Well, it's certainly worth a look.
Basement or tenants first?
No offense, Mr. MacCern. I think we might be better tackling this from multiple angles. I don't think your countenance would be best received by some of the locals in a more casual conversation.
So are you suggesting that I go down to the basement with Von Brandt?
If that's where the good doctor thinks she'll be most useful.
Kennedy, he's your charge. Can you speak some sense to him?
If there was some boogeyman running rampant in the basement of this facility, we would have seen more than one missing persons case.
I mean, we're not sure there aren't other missing people. There are all of these apartments that nobody is in. There seems to be really high turnover with the apartments that people are located in. I mean, I think there is some value in being cautious in the way we approach this.
Sure. If the basement is a little too scary for everybody's current disposition, Zura, there is plenty for you to take a look at in this room itself. I just don't think we need to go walking around knocking on everybody's door with the 5 of us, with this guy with a gas mask and an assault rifle. I don't think that's going to go over well. I think me
fair.
and Zach here can go sweet talk some people, try a few different angles, and you guys can use your specializations in ways much better suited.
Yeah, you're definitely not walking off on your own without at least one of us who knows how to handle a weapon.
You assume I don't.
I would like to state that I'm not particularly afraid of the basement, but I do see your point in I'm not exactly socially adept. And the good sergeant, very intimidating.
Lieutenant
Sergeant, I'm so sorry.
All that aside, I think the 2 military experts in this group have a little bit more leeway when it comes to making sure that you 3 are safe. I'm not one to split the party, first off. I do understand your idea, Hart. But not knowing if there is anything down here that would cause issues or what that would be, considering there is a ritual circle just behind us, I don't think it's a great idea to go down into a 1 entry, 1 exit basement, just 2 people. You get where I'm going with this?
Sure.
All right, then.
Then don't go to the basement. I just think there are better things we can do with a 5-person team than all go to the same space and intimidate individuals.
Yeah, me and Zara will stay here. You 3 go and start investigating the tenants.
Right. I will get to the paperwork then, and I'm going to start peeling paper and whatnot off of the wall, trying to discover any kind of pattern in this mess.
Keep your radios open.
I'll just check my sidearm and make sure it's comfortably where I can get it. And I'll as I go past Liam, I'll just say, can you do me a favor? I haven't had a chance to check the bathroom cabinet. Drugs, tablets, could be interesting. Well, if you 2 gentlemen want to follow me, I'm quite happy for you to do the talking, and I will I'll hang back, but let's not pop in for tea or anything whilst we're here, eh?
We have a
So you're
hydrate
going to be our
check,
babysitter.
by the way, just real quick. Thanks, Joe.
Don't think of it as babysitting. Think of it as my job's to save your life. Just doing what I'm paid to do.
Was I supposed to be thinking about it like babysitting? Because that's how I was thinking about it, that you're here to save our lives. Okay. Yeah, Zach clearly has no problem with Kennedy coming along.
Come on, Hart. Let's see this silver tongue of yours in action, shall we?
I'll see what I can do with 2 hangers on.
As the three of them leave the apartment, Liam's eyes meet Kennedy's, and there's a roll. Good luck. Liam will go inside and start going through the paperwork with Zura.
Absolutely. So when you say you're like removing the papers from the wall, you said, right, Zura, are you going to try and create any sort of like cataloging of it, or are you just sort of pulling things off?
I mean, let's face it, Zura probably could not help but catalog it. If she just haphazardly threw it on the floor, that'd be like so against her character. So yes, meticulous cataloging of everything she kind of takes down. And also looking through it. This would be tedious work, very tedious.
And Liam, what about you? Because I wonder, perhaps less meticulous.
Liam is very much a person that if there's an expert in the room, there will be some deference to allowing them some direction. Liam will especially when it comes to some sort of cataloging. The only thing that the lieutenant knows how to catalog is different types of ammunition. Yes, very much only moving when Zura is instructing him to, and but also keeping a very close eye on the door and listening out for the approaching footsteps.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm going to have both of you roll me a research. Zura, I'm going to give you an extra of your highest die in your final. So figure out what your 4 normal dice would be, and then add 1 more of whatever your highest die is, and then you'll still take the 2 highest.
So you want me to roll research?
Correct.
All right, I don't have anything in research.
I'm going to make an assumption here that that is an intelligence-based skill.
Correct. Research is intelligence.
Oh yes, there it is.
If you do not have anything in research, give me 1 moment to just confirm how this
It's a
works.
D8 for the first one and a D6 for any subsequent.
Yes. So you can add. Yeah, you can choose to add 1d8. You'll roll that, and then you will add that in tenths to your knowledge, your research knowledge, and then you will make your check as.
Okay. So I also don't have research. So but I have 2d10s in intelligence. I assume I just roll my intelligence as per normal and then roll that extra d8 to add that decimal point to it, right?
Yes, and you can add 1 additional d10.
Okay.
All right, so now I rolled a 4, so now I have a 0.4 in research. Now I roll my intelligence.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then you will add that 0.4 to the final.
So that's a 9.4.
Okay.
0.4.
Zara doesn't have anything in research either. Interesting.
I am busy doing other things for the most part.
Oh.
So, yeah. I found the world's worst dice roller and I'm crying about it a little bit.
So sorry.
Okay, so 9 plus 7, 16.
Oh.
16.4.
All right, you'll add that 0.4 to your research skill. Okay, so the two of you are going to spend some time walking through, and we will come back to you in a moment to see how those results pan out. Over to the remaining three of our wonderful team. You have a number of different tenants that you can communicate with. I believe I sent you the list last week. I can send it to you again if you need. Is there anyone in particular you would like to get started?
Do we have any list of previous tenants and when they may have left their spaces?
You do not currently, no.
Okay. I would like to go to any of the, I believe, many doors that aren't associated with anybody currently there and see if it opens.
Sure. So going up, you check, let's say, the maybe like 1B or 1C. Let's say 1C. And you just sort of like jiggle the handle and it seems locked.
Any reason we're starting there, Agent Hart?
I was just curious what an empty apartment would look like, how it's maintained. If there was anything weird going on there.
Did you want to have a look inside?
If you have a better means than kicking the door down.
Just call for Liam.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my default lock opening process, I'm afraid.
Down the hallway one way, looks down the hallway the next.
I mean,
takes a step back and Spartan kicks the door.
And I feel like Zach's just like trying to get Hev's attention desperately and like absolutely fails.
The big question is whether or not Liam hears this.
Oh,
we are
10
feet away.
Yeah, there's no way Liam doesn't.
You watch the three of us walk out, take like 5 steps over, probably look back in your direction, and then I kick the door.
Well, Liam went back inside, so all Liam hears is a smash. And the next thing you guys hear is footsteps and the cock of a gun.
Why don't you roll me? I'm gonna call this an athletics. We're gonna say this is an athletics, I think. This either an athletics or you can do a melee strength instead of a melee. Either one I will accept.
Okay.
Well, there's a small part of me though. We're not going to, but a small part of me wants to be like lock picking strength. That's
right. Okay. I suppose I could roll strength. I was looking for melee. I was leaning more into the practiced martial artists and knowing where to hit and how to move my body with the most efficient transfer of energy.
Okay, I can totally accept that. You can do a traditional like melee dex if you would like them.
Okay, I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I got 3d8 and 1d10. D8 and D8. Well, that's an explosion on the 8, which is good because I rolled 2 1s otherwise. An 8 and a 7 is a 15 for a total of 17.8.
And you subtract 1 for every one that you roll.
15.8.
Still more than enough. Yeah, you can take this and narrate it however you would like. When it's
yeah, I take a step back, hinge, doorknob, and just kick it right to just snap the bolt of the locking mechanism right there with the force needed. Minimal application of force in the correct place.
Absolutely love that.
Jackson's response will be immediately to push Hart to one side so he's not standing in front of the doorway. The doorway's just kicked open because that's not the best thing to do. And then draw his sidearm and then proceed to enter the room first so that I can see what's going on.
Sure.
And
oh,
I
go
will
ahead.
just say that, like, in the brief silence between, Hev kicking the door and everybody else getting their guns ready, Zach's just like, guys, I know how to pick a lock.
I think
So
that statement is also when Liam would like reach the hallway, gun drawn.
Assault rifle out, aim down the hallway. What the fuck was that?
I forgot my keys. Sorry.
The doctor can pick locks.
I'm just gonna lean into Zach. Yeah, I just wanted to see what these two military boys would do.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
And with Kennedy walking into that room, I'm gonna go and head towards 2B.
And that's when Liam did Zilla do anything when Liam went running out the door? Hey, so all Zura hears is like Liam come back and go, "You fucking son of a bitch, motherfucker!" just going right back into the room, muttering to himself.
Yeah, Zora just chuckles to herself about that, and continues on her work.
Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I wondered, did Zura even like hear the bang? Was she just so engrossed in what she was working on?
I want to say she did, and it probably like made her jump a little bit as she's going through stuff, but then just was fine.
Okay. All right. So Jackson.
Once in a while, like as time progresses, it'll just be like a sudden just shut up, bloody bastard! Just
I love that. This is so good. So Jackson, you're going into the empty apartment, right?
Yep.
So yeah, and it is exactly that. It's completely empty. There's like a very bland sort of gray rug across the floor. There's no furniture. The walls are only like half painted. And it's dark in here. I mean, as dark as it would be for like midday, because there is some like light coming in through the window.
Okay. So Jackson will just, once he's comfortable that it is empty, he'll go back out, reholster his weapon, just shake his head.
Oh no! While Kennedy was doing the whole sweep and clear, I gave a nod to Zach, like, "Come on, I'm heading to 2B."
So y'all just like ditched Kennedy?
Yeah.
I do feel like Zach like hesitated on that, was just like, but shouldn't we wait for the captain?
I just keep walking.
And Zach just kind of hesitantly follows.
Interesting.
Love it. Yeah. So
we get to the stairs, and as we go up the dog leg, I lean back into Zach. Also wanted to see what you do there.
Did I do what you expected?
I've stopped expecting expectations a long time ago. Certainly interesting. Now let's see if we can't learn more about Mr. Jared Moore.
So, yeah, the two of you head upstairs, and I think just as you vanish into the stairway, Jackson comes back out to an empty hallway.
I swear I'm just going to put a bullet in him.
Have making all the friends.
And I'll make my way down the hall at a steady pace in order to try and catch up with them.
Sure. I think so have you and Dr. Ryan will make it to the second floor, and it's almost the exact same picture as the first floor without the little bits of scattered garbage across the floor. But it's that same sort of tile with the vents that are sort of near the ceiling, and the same sort of almost surprisingly bland doors. And Jared Moore, obviously, apartment 2B.
As we're walking, knowing that we're heading to see Jared Moore, because Heva said as much, Zach would just like to Google the name on his phone to see if he can find any images of Jared's paintings.
Absolutely. Jared actually has a lot. I'm not going to make you roll for it because just putting in the name and location, it comes up almost immediately. Jared is kind of called a bit of a prodigy, or was until recently, because there's just he clearly, you find an article that breaks down that he clearly has such a good grasp of so many different like concepts of and styles of painting. He never makes a painting in the same style more than once. And there's an interview with him from about a year and a half ago where it boils down to essentially this idea that his paintings are very much an expression of a story that he wants to tell. And using all of these different styles as the foundation for that story allows him to present different pieces from different points of view. He comes off as, from this interview at least, incredibly passionate and sort of in love with the art, in a way that, you know, a lot of artists do, but he uses the word enlightenment a lot when talking about his art and how he learns things through his painting. And that just, he's got kind of a bit of a following, you know, online and even locally, of just people who think that he is an easy bet moving forward into the future for someone who is going to be like breakout artist.
And this might not be anything, Lion, but you had said that he was considered a prodigy until recently. What changed recently?
Well, he hasn't released a painting in the last 3 months and hasn't been seen in any public settings in the last 4. And he was, by most accounts, kind of a social butterfly before that, which is why it's something that has been noted. He prior to that would be seen at a lot of galleries, at a lot of just social events, either networking or just being there and being a social butterfly. But he has seemingly completely dropped off.
And I think that makes it even easier for Jackson to find us, because Zach is definitely passing along what he's reading to Hev as the two of them are walking. So you can definitely hear Zach's voice coming from the second floor.
Cool. I'll catch up with them, but I will stay at a bit of a distance and just let them continue. And ideally, I'm going to try and be as unobtrusive as possible. So I'm not with them. I will stay back as far as I can, but keep them in sight, and also so that I can get an idea of when the door opens. Keep an eye on that as well. But yeah, trying to, you know, not be a part of the group, as it were.
So are you hanging back by like the staircase almost, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Not so far that I can't dash in and you know, save them, but enough that, you know, they can go ahead and do the, you know, the people-y thing that they want to do.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Ev, I assume you're taking point on.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go up to the door. Once again, plain door. There's no cool artsy stuff all over it.
Yeah, nothing particularly interesting or standout. It is completely the same as every single other door on this floor and on the bottom.
Okay. I'm just going to reach out towards the handle with both hands and just very slowly just see if it's locked.
It is locked.
I'm not opening the door, but okay, it is locked. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
and you hear sort of a scuffling sound inside. Not anything like loud, but like the sound of a chair sort of moving across like uncovered like linoleum tile. Um and you can hear the footsteps, and eventually the door sort of, the handle turns, there's a clicking sound, and it opens a bit, and this guy around like mid-20s, short cropped black hair, with sort of like bags under his eyes, pretty deep set, and in what you almost want to call like artsy fartsy clothing. Like the clothes are very bright and sort of in abstract, and are sort of loose fitting, and he just sort of like looks out through the like maybe quarter opened door, and he's just like, yeah, can I help you?
Yes, Mr. Moore. Take out my badge thing and do the MIB flip open and just as quickly flip back. I'm Mr. Hart of the FBI. This is my associate, Mr. Ryan. I was wondering if I might have a minute of your time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Is this? And he kind of like opens the door like halfway and like slips out to like kind of, and he sort of expects you obviously to like step back to make space for him. As he sort of like shoulders his way out of the apartment. He doesn't close the door all the way behind him, but pulls it like pretty close to shut. He's like, yeah, is this about Charlotte?
Yes, you've heard of that. I would assume as much, being a tenant of this building. We're
Yeah.
simply in the preliminaries of our own investigation and would like to go about this from the ground up.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I already told the police everything. Charlotte was awesome, man. Charlotte was great. Just, you know, she's such a like open soul, and had such a bright. She was like enlightened, man. She was hip to the world, and I think she just realized New York can't contain her,
Mm. That is high praise coming from an artist of your caliber, as I understand it. Were
man.
you and Charlotte close? Did you collaborate in any way?
I don't know if you'd call us close. Like we would talk sometimes. Like we'd hang out, but like not outside or anything. We'd see each other in the hallway, and it would turn into like a 5 minute conversation here and there. But her work was like amazing.
When would you say that last conversation was?
Like maybe like a month ago, maybe less. Couple.
Well, I'm sure you've already given your statement to the police. As I said, we're simply looking to cover our bases. Some things can get lost in reports. Did you have any beyond these conversations in the hallway, any other professional meetups? And did you see each other's work, walk in the same circles in the industry or in social circles?
Well, I mean, there was like a couple times I've been working on a couple of like pieces, and I wanted her take on it, because even though she's not really a painter or anything, she just, like I said, she had this really enlightened mind. She saw it, and she knew, and it was really really dope, and I wanted to be able to sort of find that and connect that and bring it onto my canvas.
How would you describe her work for me? And actually, I'm quite interested. How were you inspired by that? Are you working on anything to riff off of that?
So she like I know recently we both found some like inspiration, and she had like shared that with me. She'd never like been a painter before or anything, but she had been painting this thing. It was the first time I saw it, it was a little bit weird, but then it just sat and stewed. I don't, no offense to you, Mr. Agent, whatever, Hart. But like when you're an artist, sometimes you get these sort of ideas or these visuals and it just won't go away till you express it. And that was kind of what happened there. So I've been kind of working on that. And that came from her. So I wanted to get her take on it and make sure she was comfortable with it and have her perspective sort of help me just, angle it the right way. She was, not to take anything away from her, because like I said, she wasn't a painter or anything, but it was real good. And she was just an absolute sweetheart. She good head on her shoulders, knew what she wanted and how to go about doing it. And have you seen her like sculptures? She used to have a bunch of them like in her apartment because she says she liked to be surrounded by her work.
Yes, I have seen quite a number of various installations, assuming that a number of them are still work in progress, as these things tend to be. I'm not much of an artist myself by any means, but I certainly do appreciate the culture behind it and getting a look on these things. Very expressive, very interesting way to look at how different people see the world and the messages that they want that world to hear from them. I would certainly be very interested in seeing what you may have been up to after sharing this inspiration with her. Do you have a moment of my time to give me a little sneak peek into the latest work of Moore?
And it would be very helpful, because this may have been one of the last things that Charlotte saw before she, as you were suggesting, maybe left. It might give us a good sense of where her head was at that point.
My colleague, Mr. Ryan, always working, very diligent boy that is. Very valid points, very valid points. I have to admit, I'm simply curious and intrigued myself.
What are each of your negotiate, persuade?
Negotiate, persuade. That is not
0.
with any of the other talking skills. Where is that?
That should be under abilities. Near the bottom.
Yes. 3.2 with a 2.0 positive modifier. So a total of 5.1 on top of my charisma dice.
Doctor.
0.
All right, well then, Agent Hart, you're going to be the one to make this roll.
Really? Okay.
I know, it's very surprising between the charismatic face character and the doctor.
Okay. Yeah, so that is going to be 2d10 and 2d8.
Oh.
Any interesting considerations or whatnot for throwing out different buttering them up, throwing out different references to some of Charlotte's work, maybe referencing some of the things that
The difficulty will be lowered for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will make my roll. That is an exploding D8, so I'll roll that again.
You roll a
so that is
D10 when the D8 explodes.
That's right, I roll a D10.
Go up a die.
I go up. Let's see, another D10. There we go. No, that doesn't help. So that is an 8 and a 9 for a 17. Plus 5.1, 22.1.
So he like, yeah, so I wouldn't mind doing that, but I don't have any of it here. My workspace is in the basement.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, they let me work down there because I take care of stuff down there, and they let me do that so I can have my home be kind of a space away, because that way I can take breaks from my work instead of it constantly being there. Sometimes you get real stuck in these ideas when you're working on them, and you got to remove yourself, or else
See, this is what I find so interesting about talking to artists. As I said, the very different perspectives that everyone brings to their work and to their art and to the life that they live. I don't know if you've been to Charlotte's apartment before, but she was very much engrossed in her work 24/7. So I find it very interesting that you take two completely different approaches. Do you find that helps with keeping your personal relaxation life separate from your professional artistic career? I want to engage this guy, get him talking, and see if I can get a read on him. I want that good old fashioned D&D insight check.
Sure.
Whilst this is going on, can I just text Liam just the bit I overheard about obviously him working in the basement,
Sure. Yeah.
and then at the end of the text I'll be like, Jesus, Hart can talk.
There's a response back. That's all we can fucking do.
Damn. Okay, so Jack, I'm going to ask, are you leaning towards trying to do like an intuition check or like empathy? Because I could see either working in this instance.
Is this a mechanical thing you're talking about, or?
Yeah, because you said
Okay.
you were trying to get him talking so you can kind of glean some sort of like the classic insight check style.
Yeah. So you can help walk me through this. As soon as he said basement and going off of Liam's admittedly valid concerns, I just want to see if it sounds like he is very purposefully trying to keep me out of the apartment because there's shit in there.
Okay, yeah, roll me an intuition.
If there is anything in the basement that he is purposely trying to goad us into.
Yeah, hit me with an intuition then. Let's do that.
Intuition. There are so many skills in this game.
Yeah.
Which column is that?
Abilities. Intuition is int.
Yes. There we
It's
go.
int because it's
All
intuition
right.
intelligence.
Gotcha. Just for my own edification. Yes, there is empathy as well. I am, of course, trained in both. Empathy is more charismatic, but I do think intuition probably is the more appropriate one here. Probably a mix of both, but I'll now go with that. Okay, intelligence. That is 3d8. Not as good as my charisma stats. My dice, man, that is 2 1s and a 7. Okay, so that is a 7.1.
Lucky for you, either Jared is the best liar you have ever met. Jared is the worst liar. It is very clear to you that Jared is, while not seemingly maliciously trying to goad you into the basement, does seem to have a reason to keep you out of his apartment. You can't, with what you rolled, you can't really glean exactly what it is, but you are confident that there is some reason that he is trying to keep you from getting inside or having any reason to be in there. With that, I'm going to hold this real quick and shift back over to Zura. And Zura, you've been cataloging a lot, just being very careful. As you started like sort of pulling these papers off, it becomes pretty apparent to you that you have to really take your time. Whatever it is that they've been like stuck to the wall with is not particularly easy to remove. And so there will be a level of sort of trying to work it off of the wall. But you're going through it, and a lot of it seems kind of like almost gibberish. It's words written over and over and over again. There's like sketchings of things that just don't seem to be anything. However,
Good thing I'm good at pattern recognition.
yes. However, as you are, would you be like using the box that was left for you to sort of compile? Are you laying things out over the like floor to get a spread? Like what's your process?
I'm working smart. So the spaces I'm clearing are used as spaces to set stuff and catalog them properly. The box is also used when it needs to be, but they only gave us one box, so it's a bit of a struggle.
Sure. Okay. And Liam, what are you doing while Zura is going through all of
Helping if she needs it. If not, Liam's probably texting back and forth with Kennedy about how much they hate Hart. But besides that, just keeping an eye out. Sometimes looking out the window, sometimes looking towards the door. Just trying to keep as perceptive as possible to anyone approaching or, spying.
Sure. And Zura is just sort of very methodically, very slowly going about it. And you notice that she sort of stops at one point and immediately looks back at another part of the room. Zura, you see movement out of the corner. It's not strange to you. This is fairly familiar, actually. As you see a clawed hand sort of drag itself across a sort of browned, almost like aged piece of paper out of the many scattered. And it just sort of lingers there for a moment. And as you turn to look, it's gone. But you still
Does Liam know about this? Is this in any reports on on Zura at all?
Zura, that is entirely up to you.
I don't know. Would Liam have clearance for that?
No, I don't believe so. Actually,
Okay.
if we're looking at it that way, I don't think.
A higher level clearance than some of the others here,
but not enough.
Okay.
Okay. So, from Liam's perspective, I turn. You see nothing other than you can see the fine hairs on the back of my neck begin to stand up. It's kind of like primal fear instinct for a moment, but then she kind of tries to relax and push that aside and just blank staring before going and walking over to whatever she was afraid of and picking up this brown piece of paper.
And just about as you reach it, it falls from the wall, just as if peeled away. It floats down just as you reach out for it, forcing you to sort of crouch down to pick it up. And I think that's where we're going to take our break.
What a place to stop it!
So we're going to take about 15 minutes, go get some water, use the bathroom, stretch out, be anywhere but here. You should go do the same. Go get some water, go stretch out, go to the bathroom, do what you got to do, but don't leave, because in 15 minutes, we'll be back. So you should be back as we continue A Crumbling Foundation. See you soon.
prowls around the streets all hours of the night, just like an animal. Maybe he's the vampire.
Don't start any gossip with that, Kringle. Heaven only knows where it might end.
Bullet hit the bone, broke it, I guess. He's bled a lot.
she send it to you?
She wants to come back.
Sit tight.
We're back. Hi, y'all. Thanks for hanging out through the break. Hope that you all got a chance to go hydrate yourselves, which again, thank you so much for looking out for us throughout the course of the stream. We really appreciate it. Had a chance to grab a snack, use the bathroom, do what you need to do. But we're back. It's time for us to return to a Crumbling Foundation episode. When we last left off, Agent Hart and Dr. Ryan were attempting to have a conversation with one Jared Moore, led to the potential realization, better word, the realization that Jared is, for one reason or another, looking to keep the, as far as he is aware, FBI agents out of his apartment. On the other side of interesting things, Zura had their attention called to a specific piece of paper, and I think that's where we are going to return to first. So Zura, you crouch down to pick up this paper, and on it you see what looked like a broken down schematic. Pieces are sort of overlaid, and it's very difficult to immediately sort of tell what it is. But down on the bottom is something written in, what languages does Zura know or recognize?
Oh goodness. I think German, English. I don't think there's many beyond that. That was not her forte.
Okay. So there is something written in a language you don't recognize, in letters that, if you'd like, you could make me a basic intelligence check to see if you
Sure.
would recognize what those letters would be, what language those letters would.
Ugh. That's an awful roll. 15 total. Actually, let me give you the decimal point. 15.9.
I thought you said awful.
Well, awful for her. Like, it was a 5 and a 6, I think.
You recognize it as being Hebrew letters. You as you said, you don't really speak Hebrew, or know how to read Hebrew text, but very clearly you've seen Hebrew before, and this very, very noticeable. If you'd like, I will also permit I think it's a mechanics. If you have any points in it, you can make a mechanics check for the schematic.
Trying to figure out where mechanics is. On the...
Mechanics is a knowledge.
It's knowledge.
And it should be on the lower half of.
Would I also be able to? I have mechanics.
Oh, do you? Well, in that case, the first thing I say to you as I pick this paper up and look at it for a second is, do you speak Hebrew?
There's a slow turn, and there's actually kind of, because Liam's mask is up for this. And just a Ryger says, "No, lass, I don't speak Hebrew."
Do you have any knowledge of machines then? And at this point, I will show you the piece of paper.
Let me take a look and see if I have any knowledge of machines. Well, this particular machine, I should say.
Mechanics intelligence.
That's an exploding die, so that's nice. Oh, that's another D8. That's not a D10. So that's 8 plus 7 is 15 plus mechanics is 1.6, so 16.6.
Okay, so it only takes you a minute or two, because the way that it is laid out is usually the internal workings of something being constructed and the external workings are separated so that they are not just a mishmash of things. This is not the case here. This has clearly a lot of pieces that make this seem overcomplicated are just sort of overlaid from interior pieces. But what this looks like although you can't imagine why it would be something anyone would want to make, is almost sort of a chair, but with an engine inside. Now, the schematics don't obviously talk about materials or anything like that. Well, what specific kinds of materials? They're like a building guide almost to constructing.
It seems to be someone wanted to make a coach that you can drive around in, as it seems.
Why would it? Strange.
Sounds very American to me.
I think we should put the schematics in the box. It seems like we should take it with us.
All right. Liam will put the bloody thing in the box.
That, I think, is where we will shift back over to Hart. Having just come upon the realization, as Jared sort of has been rambling on a bit about his works and how he internalizes a lot of the things that he's come across, and how the art is the expression of that, and he just is kind of going on until you stop him, and have you can tell very clearly he does not want the two.
Mm-hmm. No, I'll let him go on for a little bit. I'll do the back and forth best I can, which is pretty damn good. And I'm just gonna every now and then fix my glasses or put a piece of hair back behind my ear, and just let him go on for a little bit. But when there's a lull in the conversation, I will brush past my ear and just go like I'm like scratching the back of my head, and I'm gonna hit the comms for our earpiece communicator. Well, Mr. Moore, it certainly has been interesting speaking with you. I would love to see what you have going on in the basement. It seems like you have a lot of interest and a lot of enthusiasm for your work. And of course, understanding that you keep your home life and your artistic life separated, I certainly would not want to force my way into your apartment by any means. So if you have time, I would love to see what you've been working on.
Yeah, give me a minute to like grab my keys. I have keys for the basement workspace. I'll throw on some shoes because I don't like having my toes restricted. But like who wears shoes? I mean,
believe me, I get you. These things, whew.
So yeah, just give me a moment and I'll we can do that. And he again sort of like barely opens the door enough to like slide in and then pushes it shut behind.
Yeah, that's cool. As soon as the door is closed, I reach into my jacket, I pull out my snake cam, and I kneel down.
Sure, absolutely. So you start sort of feeding things through, and does it have like a large like receiver end on your end, or how do you like see what it?
Well, Jack not being a super spy myself, and the book not having anything more on this other than snake cam, I would assume, given the technology that we have access to, I'd imagine that it could like connect to a phone screen or something, or maybe even Bluetooth.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, we could do that. So if you want, you can have it like Bluetooth connected to your phone. If that works for you, yeah, great. So you're like snake cam in one hand, phone in the other.
Sure.
Yeah, and you feed this thing under the door, and at first there's kind of that like ruffle visual as it like pushes against the rug, and it comes up, and you see him sort of like scrambling back, and he grabs these large like bags that at first seem kind of like hay bags. They're definitely full of some kind of like green plant material, Agent Hart, you probably would be able to discern that these are chock full of marijuana. And he like stops and literally does the like looking both ways and then sort of like shoves it under a couch that he has against the far side of the apartment and like gives it a bit of a kick and then grabs, like moves past where your field of vision is, comes back after a moment with a blanket that he just sort of like lays out on top of it. And then you see him sort of like from behind and he grabs his keys and he like slips into like a pair of Crocs and begins making his way back towards the door.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take that out as soon as he starts turning around.
Absolutely. And then after a moment, the door opens, and this time he doesn't like half open it. Like he almost makes a show of opening the door the whole way, which gives you a bit of a glimpse behind him. You can see a little bit more than the sort of narrow view of the snake cam. It seems like the glimpse you get, the apartment's pretty plain. There doesn't seem to be any like on display artwork, which he'd already kind of explained. But you also don't see any like pictures on the walls. There's no like bookcases or bookshelves, or anything like that. And then he like steps out and he pulls the door shut behind him. He's like, "All right, should you get to do this?"
Of course.
Yeah, awesome. And as he like starts walking, he's like, I feel bad because like I know her dad is like freaking out, right?
Mm.
Like one of the cops said that, right? But like she's just off to like better things now, right? Like there's so much out there, and New York is it's so confining. It's so big, but like it's so and I think that's like when he would like come across like Jackson, unless Jackson's like moving it all. And he's just like,
no, Jackson's just stood there.
So, and he keeps going. It's so confined, and he's just gonna kind of lead you out the hallway and towards the basement. And as you get outside, you notice it's starting to get like the sun is starting to set. You're starting to hit the early evening, kind of. And he pulls out the keys, and his keyring has like a whole bunch of keys on it. More keys than there are like places in this building. He takes you down the ramp, and it's got that like very like paint chipped old metal like railing that leads down. Where at one point you probably wanted to hold it because it's pretty steep, but now you don't want to get tetanus. And you get down there, and it's just this very simple metal blue door with one of those classic like cutout windows with the like crisscross pattern, but it's dirty enough that it's hard to see. And he like looks at the keyring, and then he looks back up. Yeah, and he pulls one of the keys, and he like slots it into the door and pops open. He opens it, and he steps in, and he like flicks a light switch. And the lights sort of like almost like fluorescent lighting sort of flutter to life. And they go sort of one by one by one.
While he was messing with his keys and getting that in, I'm just going to reach back, and I keep a set of brass knuckles back on the backside of my belt. I'm gonna pull those out and just slip them on and just stand with my hand sort of in front of me like this, uncovering the brass knuckles. Ready to slip them on and off discreetly if I need to.
Sure. Dr. Ryan, would you notice this? Would Zach notice?
I think so. Yeah, I think he would pick up on that. But I think he's barely been in the field, if he's been in the field at all. So I think he's just like, I guess this is normal protocol. I'm sure this is fine.
Yeah, and so immediately going in, there's like a hallway that leads straight down. There don't seem to be any doors or anything there, but at the end of it, it opens into like a wide space with a number, like 2 or 3 doors. One is labeled boiler room. One is just doesn't have like a label on it except for the word staff. And then there's one that says breakers on it. And he as he gets closer to the staff room, you notice there is this sort of like very faint, faded chalk outline of an arch that rises and like crests over the top of the wall and back down about 5 feet away from the door that says staff room, just on like the gray brick.
Does it go over the door, or it's that
No, it's
arch
like
is drawn next to? Okay.
Yeah, it's like 5 feet away from the door, to on the wall, like 5 feet from the door to the right.
And I think as we're walking, Zach will just kind of ask, are you the only artist who uses the space, or do a lot of you do your work down here?
No, I'm the only one who works down here. Yeah. It was really cool. They only have like the one space really, because this doing anything here, and he motions to like big open space that you're in now, be like a fire hazard, and like the boiler room and the breaker, and then he like half motions towards the arch, and then it wouldn't work. There's too much going on. They're just like, I have to be done and back upstairs by midnight, not midnight, sorry, by like sunset, because I just don't want to bother the service or anything. And then he like, oh, no,
and Zach's just kind of like, it sounds like there's a lot going on down here. What else is this space used for?
oh, just there's just the boiler room's over that way, and that's where all the hot water gets filtered from, and the electricity from there, and I use this for painting. And sometimes they hold like the little get-togethers down here.
Oh, who does?
Yeah, the like the downstairs folk.
And Zach kind of looks at Hev at that.
Well, you did say that that you try to stay out of the space come sundown, and it does seem we are starting to approach that. So I certainly wouldn't want to put you out.
Oh yeah. Well, you wouldn't be putting me. You'd be putting them out. It's fine. And he goes back to his keyring. And he closes it. Fine. And he like unlocks the staff door.
Before we continue,
yeah,
can I ask if any of my other colleagues not with us picked up on my my discreet, hey, we're going down here, check out the apartment and or help us?
Yeah, I was going to cut back as the door opened, actually, so it times out perfectly.
Before we do that, there's something I would like to revisit. I'm going to roll something real quick.
What would you like to roll? And
I'm rolling an intuition on the strange way that my compatriot was acting during this entire endeavor.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to say before you roll.
Yes.
So Zoe, with this roll happening, I'm going to kind of leave it to you to determine, based on the roll and how you feel, what can be discerned from that, if that's something you're comfortable with.
Sure.
I always feel like it makes the most sense to allow them to interact if they feel they need to make.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 13.
And this is specifically for my interaction earlier?
Yes. And I think this is the second time Liam has seen this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She definitely she definitely sees something that you clearly do not see. And it terrifies her, but not enough to send her like running away or anything like that.
So as Liam is putting the schematic in the box, there's a very I wouldn't say, Liam positions himself a couple of feet away from Zura, like as if to like get back to look at the wall or something else, but really he's getting himself a couple of feet away from her before he kind of turns to her, and she just eyes her for a moment before saying, "Is there something following you, lass?"
Yes, but intentionally. So it's an assignment.
Explain.
Unsure if it was a practical joke because I was complaining, or if it is an actually legit assignment. But I am working on something. I don't know how else to explain it.
Well, first you can explain to me what you mean. What's following you?
It is an SCP of sorts. I will not give you the designation because I mean, surely someone with clearance can give you that.
I think just as you finish saying that bit, you see the sort of elongated, purposefully left vague face sort of rise behind Liam and just sort of tilt its head a bit.
Do I see the sudden change in her face again?
Yeah, that's definitely a shift there.
Zora has probably never seen someone this quick go for a gun. And the hand flies down towards his sidearm, and there's an audible click as the safety goes off.
Is this an intention to like use it on me, or
You can roll in you can roll in
sure?
to see
I guess I will.
will.
Okay. Int is int. That's right. We had this talk earlier.
Int is, I think, generally charisma. There was a specific reason I wanted it to be int before.
Well, intuition is an intelligence-based skill, whereas empathy is the charisma-based one.
Looking over at ability, is it? Do I just have it noted?
Am I? Yeah, intuition is intelligence.
Okay, cool. Then yeah, I just have it noted wrong here. Yep, intuition is intelligence. That worked out.
So 11.3.
I think what she would sense is that he's ready to use it. He's trying to figure out where using it would be best.
Listen, it's not hostile and non-infectious.
Do you know much about the organization that sent me to the SCP?
Next to nothing. Is this a problem working with me?
A problem? No. But I am slightly frustrated that I was not informed that an SCP would be following me.
It's not following you.
If it's following you, and I'm here to protect you, it's following me.
As I mentioned, it's relatively harmless. Just likes to hang out in the peripheries.
And then slowly one of its like clawed hands rises. Sort of just pointing semi at like Liam for a moment, and then it scoops, and then
Is
slowly
this-
its hand lowers.
Is this a violent gesture or?
No, it doesn't seem violent. It's done slowly and calmly, and
It is something we can talk to our superiors about when we get back, I think, if it is a problem. But they know, they are aware.
At her saying to him that the superiors are aware of this, Liam's face goes beet red in rage.
Oh, no.
And Liam, it's at that point that I'm assuming Hart's text message comes onto the phone.
well, it was through the intercom. It was through
Oh.
the like earpiece.
Gotcha. So what was the message exactly?
I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said that I believe I used Mr. Moore's name and said that I would be interested in seeing what he's been working on in the basement, and that given that he keeps his work life and his home life separate, that I certainly would not want to impose into his home by any unjust means. So let's go check that out. Sort of like, hey, we're going down here. You might want to look at this.
Yeah.
So what Zura sees is the rage get worse, if it's possible.
Just like beet red.
Yes. And
veiny.
and so Liam's hand is on the grip of the pistol, and she can hear from his white knuckling the pistol grip creaking as his anger grows.
Listen, Lieutenant, it's what can I do at this moment in time to smooth this over?
Liam will take a deep breath, calm himself for a moment, walk up behind us, and Liam will stomp out the door.
As Liam turns, it's gone.
Trying to figure out a way how to interpret what it was telling me there. But yeah, I will follow the lieutenant out the door and lock up behind and follow him down the hall.
And again, there's muttering, "Freaking idiot!" and other expletives.
So let's cut back over to Jackson.
Yeah, so Jackson would have obviously he would have followed them at a distance, hoping to kind of not be spotted by the guy they're with. And once they've gone into the basement, he'll obviously be cursing and swearing to himself as well. There'll be quite a brief text to Liam going, "Get down here now. They've gone in the basement." And then
there is a quick response. The quick response is node number 2 has an SCP.
I didn't catch any of that.
Node number 2 has an SCP.
And Jackson will just send back 3 exclamation marks. And then, what is wrong with these people?
That's why I'm not part of this organization, is the response.
And I guess next one would be threat level.
I would hope that the SCP Foundation would at least not be so stupid as to put a cancer class infected individual out in the field. But if they are, then fuck it. We're fucking, there's like just continued typing.
It's all in caps.
It's all in caps.
I feel like at one point maybe it even devolves into just like mashed buttons because there's too much rate.
No, what it actually does is it starts devolving into like Scots English for like a couple of lines where it's like almost indecipherable at all.
I have no idea what you say when you get excited like this.
Goodness. Do you actually turn to Zura and like threat level?
No,
Okay.
he's too angry.
Okay.
Oh,
I feel like Zura, you just see him just angrily mashing at his key.
Okay, so Jackson will text back priority basement.
I'm on my way.
Down here. And what I'll do is, whilst they're talking to the guy from the apartment, I really want to try and stealth in and just try and get myself into a position where I can see everything that's going on, but won't be spotted by the civilian.
Okay. Yeah. So you're trying to go inside, you said?
So they've gone through the basement door.
Yeah.
And so I'll be slightly behind them, but just trying to slip in without being seen by
Okay.
the civilian they're with. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I'm even gonna make you roll for that because I don't know if you've noticed, but Jared is not the most perceptive individual. So as long as you're not like stomping your way down the hall behind them. Yeah, I think maybe you would probably know that you are being shadowed. Zach, that is entirely up to you if you think that's something that the doctor would notice.
Yeah, no, I think he is busy studying that chalk outline of the arch. So I think his attention is definitely not focused on what might be going on behind. I think he kind of assumes Jackson's following to an extent. He just isn't sure quite where he is.
Okay, wonderful. So, that door swings open. Oh, we gotta hide. Do it. Thanks, Ty. L'chaim. So, the door swings open, and immediately you're hit by the very clear smell of like paints and like turpentine and oil. And it just sort of like very potent. He's like, it just there's nowhere to like sit or anything besides the one like stool, but I don't know we're gonna be hanging out in here. And he like leads y'all in. Get entering the room, there's a bunch of sort of paint thrown across some of the walls. There doesn't seem to be any like discernible pattern. It's just splotches of different colored paint here and there. And there are 3 canvases. One is a like blank, completely blank, almost pristine canvas, with like very small piece of like what do they call it? Like the labels from a label maker across the bottom of the frame, like for the easel. One is this like chaotic abstract, sort of boxed in with like blank canvas making up the outside like frame. And then one that Agent Hart, you immediately recognize. It is the lion guy that you saw in the park. He seems to be staring almost sort of at you with arms wide, hands open, but whatever it is that he may or may not be holding in his hand is still blank canvas.
I think as we're all taking this in, Zach is going to take the opportunity to engage kind of Mr. Moore in a discussion about art and just say, Mr. Moore, I mean, your use of blank space in these, it's incredible. Would you share a bit more about that with us?
Yeah, what isn't there, I feel like, is just as important as what is, right? And really, everything is just a kind of combination of what is and what isn't, and the things that is and the things that is not sort of work best when brought together. Right? The way that we perceive things is through this kind of understanding of things that are, and we really often don't think about the things that aren't and the role that they can also play in finding our understanding of the world and ourselves. So it's something that I have recently started trying to include in my work. I haven't and he points to the completely blank canvas and say, I haven't started on that one yet, but that's gonna be the one. I figured it out now, and that's gonna be the one. These were, and he points to the other two. These were parts of the path in getting there, right? But this is where the enlightenment happens. This is where we find it.
What was that second canvas a picture of?
There's it's like an abstract. You mean the one where it's like
Yeah.
chaotic abstract colors, with like, as it gets closer to the center, there are thicker colors that seem to cut through everything else, kind of pulling towards a like small center portion of the painting that is difficult to make, like, discern around all the rest of the chaos unless you get like really close to it. Like, there's clearly some kind of a design in the center there, but it's hard to make out against everything else.
Gotcha. While this conversation is going on, Hev's going to just pace back and forth a little bit, like he's appreciating the work down here, but I do want to focus on Tony the Tiger and see if it looks like his eyes are following me, if it looks like the perspective is shifting in any paranatural way.
So everywhere that you move in the room, it feels like he watches. It doesn't, there's no visual like change in the painting. The like angle of his head doesn't move. And it's entirely possible that it could maybe be some kind of an illusion based on how it was painted. It wouldn't be the first painting where that's happened, but it feels so personal. It feels like he's looking at you, Agent Hevard C. Hart. He's looking at you. These orange, burning eyes. And even when you're not looking at that painting, when you look at the others, you can feel his gaze on you. It feels almost like when you're a child, you get in trouble, and your parent is waiting for you to say something. and that silence lingers and you can feel that sort of gaze on you. It feels like that, like an expectancy.
Okay. Yes, as Mr. Ryan said, these are both very interesting works of art. They definitely very evocative. Very evocative. I feel like it really speaks to the soul of me in a way that I really can't necessarily put my finger on.
That means a lot. It really does. That's how I feel too. It doesn't even feel like I made them, man. Like I was like the conduit, but like every time that I look back at what I've made, because I know I made them, like I spent the time down here and stuff. They feel more powerful than I do, you know?
Sometimes your work can do that to you, no matter what you're working in. You said this one you're working on here, the one you haven't started. This is the one. If these two aren't the one, maybe I'm prying too much into an artist's insight. What do you have plans for this? I'm so intrigued.
Oh, this is the throne.
His throne.
What?
Motioning to the Lion Man, his throne.
You know? He says without taking his eyes off the blank canvas. I never really thought about that.
Are these these are big canvases?
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, Hev's gonna just stand right up in front of, just to freak the other two military guys out even more, is gonna stand right up in front of Lion Man and just square off with them, but lean in like I'm trying to inspect the details.
Sure.
But behind my glasses, I am meeting that gaze like, don't you mad dog me.
Hev, what is your cognitive resistance?
Too low for these shenanigans. 11.1.
Okay, and I think as you settle into that is about the time where Liam and Zura would make it to the basement. Liam checking the door is not locked.
All right. Is Kennedy upstairs or downstairs?
I'm downstairs in the main basement room. So I'm kind of so when they went through the door, I moved up so that I am flush against the wall next to the door.
So so Liam would motion for Zura to follow him and slowly sneak his way downstairs. And as soon as he eyes Jackson can feel the anger radiating off of him, and kind of moves shoulder to shoulder with Kennedy, looking around the door for a second before saying, "What's going on?"
You know, when you say to people, don't do something, and they just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, where you and I are from, that would get you shot.
We need to be aware that this guy on a couple of occasions has mentioned the others and the downstairs people. No idea of numbers, no idea of who they are, but he doesn't like to be down here after sunset in case he gets in the way of them.
What time is it now? The DM.
It's probably about, let's say 6:30.
And if I check my phone application known as weather.com, what would be the sundown time?
Around 7:15, 7:20.
I am going to pull out my or activate my intercom. Mr. Hart and Dr. Ryan, I want you to speed up your interrogation and get out of the basement as soon as possible. And then, Mr. Hart, I want you to set up surveillance equipment down here. We have about 45 minutes before sundown. And there's obvious, like, tension being pulled back.
No,
And
no response.
I kind of meekly wave at Kennedy. I look like I'm in trouble, which I probably am.
And Kenny will just give you that flat kind of, oh, we're going to have a conversation about this stare once we've got some spare time.
Dr. Ryan, what are you doing?
I think Zach is still kind of focused on talking to Jared and trying to get whatever information he can out of him. So I think he's going to be just asking questions like, you know, this series of artwork, you said that you were inspired after seeing some of Charlotte's work. What about her work is reflected in this? What does the throne, you know, look like? What colors are you imagining? Just kind of trying to throw out as many questions as he can to keep this guy talking.
I love that. Are you just trying to pick up any pieces you can from the interaction?
Yeah, I don't think he's trying particularly hard to, like, you know, persuade or manipulate or anything like that. I think he's genuinely interested. So I think he's just throwing out these questions and seeing what Jared's going to come back with.
Awesome. Okay. I think I will have you roll an empathy charisma.
All right. That is not going to be great, but that is okay.
Is there I don't remember for this game, is there any way I can assist with that by just bouncing a lot of that conversation back and forth and two psychology brains moving this guy conversationally?
There would be, but you are going to be a bit busy.
Awesome. Love it.
So that roll is not great. It is a 7.5 because I have one die in charisma.
Not a problem. Okay. Yeah, and Agent Hart have friends. You hear them sort of talking and are obviously paying attention, although it starts very soft. Crackling sound. Like fire. The fire pit, maybe? Very low. But as the seconds move on, it grows louder. And almost without you realizing it, it seems to overtake the sounds of the conversation around you. And you feel yourself drawn into this gaze. The bright orange burning eyes seem almost to swelter, shimmering, though none of the rest of it moves. In that burning, crackling sound, wood cracking, splintering under intense heat, you hear a low growl, steady, almost like static could be. And then you feel a wetness on your face. And a sharp, needle-like pain in your skull. And you feel yourself just for a moment, you feel small. And for you, that's no easy feat. But you feel maybe as close to insignificant as you ever have in this moment. Squared up, refusing to back down, gazing into an infinity you couldn't possibly hope to stand against. And that's when you notice the wetness on your face. It's blood. And your eyes, almost without direction, shift away. And as they do, the crackling stop. Staticky growling stop. But the pain does not. The splitting, aching headache, the core of your head. The droplets of blood sort of hitting the floor. Maybe one or two painting your shoes. And I think that's where we're going to leave it for tonight.
Love it.
Thank you
Wow.
so much to all of the amazing people, both here in our fantastic game, our cast, and our incredible chat for hanging out. I have a couple things to go over, but I'll do that after. First, we're going to go in reverse order and have everyone remind you who they are, where you can find them. And we're going to start with JD. We have one last hydrate tonight.
So, hi, I am JD. I can be found for now on Twitter at JD, not Jason Dean. I can also be found on Instagram, Tumblr, and Hive at the same username. I am usually found over with Live from the Apocalypse, and if you are interested in getting to see an urban fantasy D&D homebrew class reunion winter break, we will be back to that game tomorrow at 7:30 over on Live from the Apocalypse. We will also have Fetch Quest, our Dungeons and Doggos game, Wednesday, which I will also be in, and plenty of other fun stuff happening during the rest of the week. So yeah, come join me there, and it's a good time. And if you have never seen a Live from the Apocalypse show, you would enjoy. I think that's it for me.
All right. And that will bring us to Jack.
All right. Yes. Hello, I am Jack. First off, yeah, this game has been an absolute pleasure. I had so much fun tonight. I have to say, I have never played such a intelligently methodical chaos gremlin like this character, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. But if you want to see more of me and more of the cool characters I play and more of the interesting stories I run myself, head over to my own channel, twitch.tv/thepeoplesascension. We're also on YouTube. You can search for it. When you do find it, go and click that like button, or subscribe or follow or whatever the metric is on there. There's too many for my old man brain to keep up with. But get us to that 100 follower count so I can get a purposeful URL. Anyway, you can find me tomorrow over on twitch.tv/Studio Tembo at 7:30 EST for some Star Trek adventures. Super fun show. We're going to be showing down with some Romulans, which is always a good time. And as far as my own projects coming up on my channel, of course, there's plenty for you to check out on the YouTube as far as past stuff, but I am getting ready to set up, or I am setting up the next season of RPGs Uncovered, a series dedicated to showing just how quick and easy it can be to learn a new TTRPG. We will be looking at Cyber Rats, sort of cyberpunk Shadowrun meets XCOM without all the annoying crunch. So come check that out. That's looking, we're probably not going to get it started before January because I don't want to deal with all of the holiday stuff. It's just a scheduling nightmare. But if you are interested in learning more about that or want a chance to get on the cast, come hang out with me on Twitter or my own Discord. I believe all the links are down below. And I'd be excited to hang out and always excited to see what we have going on with all these people and Lion here with some more SCP. With that, let me pass it over on to Tal.
Hello. So I'm Tal Woodblaze. I'm a designer of TTRPGs. You can check out all of my stuff over on my Ko-fi, which is at the Gamers Rest. And it's also where you'll find me on Twitter, along with all the other socials on there as well. But yeah, so I have a monthly membership where you can get a copy of a monthly D&D ongoing game, which I'm writing, and a few other bits and pieces from my own homebrew world as well. That's me.
And with that, we'll pass things over to the eye.
I am also enjoying this game because I don't usually play the military expert who's trying to command everyone else around. Not really my forte. Usually the chaos gremlin or someone a little bit more emotional. I am the eye, as I said before. I can only be found here, nowhere else. On Tales from the Table, and that's it. That's all I got for you people. Go be healthy and stuff.
Yeah, that's like an exclusive draft pick. If you want to see the eye, you got to be here. It's the only place you'll find the eye. Yeah, home channel hero, exactly. Also, I will just put out there, in this episode specifically, I think Liam got plenty emotional. Thank you very much.
What emotion? It's actually, he's kind of like Bruce Banner. He's always that one emotion. It's just different levels of that emotion, you know?
And Zoe.
Hello, I am Zoe Trooper. I've had so much fun with this game. It's something near and dear to my heart for a while now, so I'm glad to be here. You can find me also on Hollowed Haven Studios in a Hunter the Reckoning campaign that the finale is actually coming up this Friday. So tune in. If you don't know what's going on, we're fighting ghosts. That's all you need to know. Ghosts are causing a problem, not vampires today. In the new year, I will be in a Cyberpunk Red game with Component Cast, so you can see me there as well.
I'm lying. If you're here, odds are you know who I am. I'm the overworked, underpaid head of Tales from the Table Studios. And I am absolutely honored to have had the opportunity to run the game today for this incredible cast. Seriously, y'all are amazing, and I can't imagine having done this with anyone else. And I'm so happy I get to play and run this game for you. It's amazing. Y'all are great. I could sit here and sing everyone's praises for hours tonight, but I know we all have things to do, so I will get to the rest of my spiel. Thank you to everyone in chat. Y'all are incredible too. It means so much to see y'all hanging out and interacting and having so much to say about this. If you have more that you want to say, you can come tell us directly because we're all in Discord. You can find the Tales from the Table Studio Discord linked down below in the About section. If for some reason that doesn't work, you can go on over to my my Twitter for now, at the Lion Knight 42 over on Twitter, and you can find a link to the Discord there. If somehow none of that works, just send me a message. I'm pretty sure my DMs are open. You can drop a message in chat, and I will get that information to you. Come hang out. Tell us what you like about the show. Tell us what you don't like about the show, respectfully. Tell us what you think about our characters. Ask us why we did the things we did. Ask us why we didn't do the things we didn't do. Hang out. Get to know some really great role players, world builders, game designers, and just amazing human beings. There are so many in there, and we're building a really great community. Again, I feel really lucky to have all of the people in there who are there. We have a Ko-Fi. If you've enjoyed what you've seen tonight, if you enjoy any of our games or the work that we're doing, that's the best way to support us. Go over to Ko-Fi. You can do single time like donations. You can do memberships. Our memberships have some cool stuff. You have access to naming rights for NPCs. That includes for this game. Locations. That includes for this game. Some custom stuff that you can get designed, subclasses for games like D&D or other games that we understand well enough to make. You can, once a month, the people in the highest membership tier get a custom character designed for them in whatever system they want, If we don't know it, one of us will learn it. It's fine, and we'll make it for you. It also comes with art from our in-house artist, Miss Moon, who's active in the chat tonight. Big whoop whoop for her because she's amazing. Whoop whoop. And we also have a bunch of free stuff. You're going to be able to find maps. You'll be able to find cool homebrew items, objects, blog posts on a whole bunch of different stuff. That's also where I'm going to be, hopefully in the next couple weeks, posting my Kids on Bikes module for free. One Night at Ollie's, which is a Five Nights at Freddy's based Kids on Bikes game that I am super stoked to share with all of you, and playtests have gone really well so far. So I really hope y'all enjoy that. Yes, it was. You'll also be able to get access to, for free, the Tales Tuesdays. It was something I was doing on Twitter for a while, but the Twitter character limit is just too limiting. So instead of making 15 or 16 tweet threads, my Tuesday Tales are now going to be hosted there. It's a story. It's ongoing. And what happens is at the end of every piece for every week, y'all get to vote. The votes are going to be hosted on Twitter. The stories will come out on Ko-Fi. The link will always be there for both. And you will get to determine where that story goes. As time goes on, there will be more choices to choose from, more directions for it to take, but everything is based completely on your designs and choices. It's not one of those, well, you can choose between this path and that path, and then they meet up in the end anyway. No, this is complete. Nothing goes into the creative process until after the votes go in. So that I personally think is pretty cool. Anyway, you can catch us every Monday night at 8:00 p.m. EST here with a Crumbling Foundation. You can catch us this Tuesday at 8. That's tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. for Dice Trays Action, a D&D actual play set in my homebrew world of Rodane. Currently, funnily enough, there's a bit of a missing persons mystery going on in that one too. But very, very different takes, and we'll be going in very, very different directions, I promise. And we're pretty close to another major event in that game, so definitely check it out. We won't be here on Thursday because it's Thanksgiving, but next Thursday we'll be back with Rhaega's Shadow of the Dragon again. And hopefully we will have our talk back for Rhaega up in the next couple of days. You'll be able to get that also with a membership on our Ko-Fi. I'm just all over the place tonight. Sorry about that. It's been a long day, but but you'll be able to get that over on our Ko-Fi as well. Every month we post a talkback show for all of our different shows that we have ongoing, which is just going to be the cast sitting down and talking about what's happened over the last few episodes, their thoughts, some of the things they're looking forward to, and any questions that y'all have, you are free to send me, and I will make sure that we get into some of those every month. With that said, I think I've gone over everything, which is great because I've been talking way too much. Last thing, our archives. You can find us over on YouTube as well, where we have every game that we've run archived for your viewing pleasure. We've got some phenomenal stuff from the charity drive we ran over the summer. We have all of the episodes for all of the other games we've been running. And we also have some amazing interviews. We actually just recently came out with one with the phenomenal Moss Powers. So if you haven't yet, that was a great sit down. I really enjoyed that. Go check that out over on our YouTube. Also Tales from the Table Studios there. Thank you again to everyone. I've been talking long enough. This has been great. Have a great night. Take care of yourselves. We love you. And always remember to tell your tales. Take care.